Hello, everyone. Welcome to the JVI Sports Podcast. I'm your host for today, Cameron Capobianco, and joined by me is former Oakville Blade assistant captain, former OJHL MVP, and former OHA Player of the Year, Harrison Israels. Harrison, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Hey, thank you for stopping by and doing this interview. Really appreciate it. Speaking with the former OJHL MVP, OHA Player of the Year, like I mentioned. It's always a great time.
Thank you.
So, Harrison, before I get started on anything, I just want to ask you, obviously we were just talking about this earlier. You got out of quarantine last Friday and everything, but it still feels like quarantine after your trip back from Alaska in the NCAA. How's everything going so far for you?
It's good. I mean, obviously, everybody's kind of in the same boat in Ontario here with just having to kind of deal with the pandemic and the lockdowns. So it's frustrating, but at the same time, you want to be safe. So I'm just spending time with family because obviously I've been at school for the last few months. So it's nice to see them and catch up. I still have some classes that I still got to complete. So I'm doing a lot of schoolwork. And of course, just enjoying watching the Leafs play. I'm hoping they can make a run this year. So it's keeping me busy. That's for sure.
Like you mentioned, you just came back from Alaska, or like I mentioned too. What is it like adapting now? You're back at home. It's a time difference of, I'm not sure how long. How long?
4 hours.
4 hour difference. Yeah, makes a huge difference. So, are you staying up later? Are you maybe going to bed earlier or something like that to get up in time for your classes and that stuff before each and every class with that time difference and everything?
Well, so actually, yeah, one of the classes I got is it's a 6 to 9 class Alaska time. So it's 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. Here in Ontario. So that's a little weird, but I think the first week and a bit, you kind of have to adjust that time zone change. Like I was waking up a little later just because I wasn't really feeling tired until 2, 3 in the morning. Just again, that we're 4 hours ahead. So, but honestly, after like a good week here, you kind of adjust to the time difference, which is nice. But yeah, the only thing I'm still kind of adapting to, I guess, is having to do class at past midnight and into 1 a.m. That's a first for me. So. But the adjustment hasn't been too bad.
Why don't we start with the early career of Harrison Israels, and we'll start maybe with the early life of yourself. What kind of got you into playing hockey, Harrison? Like, what was kind of the motivation behind that?
Honestly, it was so I started playing hockey when I was about, I think, 3 or 4. My dad kind of told me, he bought me some hockey equipment and was like, let's sign you up for hockey and see if you like it. So he's been a big fan of the Leafs. Same with my grandpa. We've had season tickets for a long time. So going to Leafs games obviously was a big part of my life when I was younger. And I think just being around hockey, my cousins played it, my brother played it, my dad. So the whole family's just been kind of built around hockey, which is, I think, the reason why I enjoyed it so much. And, it's something that I've revolved my whole life around, and that was kind of it's been there for me since I was really young. So yeah, I think hockey has just been a massive part of my life since I was at a young age.
Well, that's great to hear and everything about the young ages and that stuff. So you were mentioning just now you were a Toronto Maple Leaf fan growing up and everything. Any favorite particular player that you had by any chance? Maybe Austin Matthews could be one, maybe recent, maybe past players that maybe we never even seen play, maybe even in that era, like Phil Kessel, Ian White. I'm just naming a bunch of players that come to the top of my head right now. Any particular player that maybe that you kind of modeled your game around?
So I'd say my first favorite Leafs player was Matt Sundin. I had a mini stick of Matt Sundin when he was the captain of the Leafs, and that was kind of the first guy I was like, really idolizing after. But to be honest with you, after that, I actually, my favorite player growing up was Rick Nash. I was a big fan of him, and I know he never played for the Leafs, but he's from Ontario, and I just like the way he plays. Big guy. I was number 61 growing up, as I feel a lot of people were, because it was a pretty common number. But I never really had a favorite player on the Leafs. It was kind of Matt Sundin, and then when he retired, I hopped into enjoying watching Rick Nash play. And and then in terms of modeling my game, I just kind of take bits and pieces from a bunch of guys. Like, you can look at Austin Matthews' shot. Like, if you can take a little bit from what he does, and then you combine it with, say, a guy like Zach Hyman who's pretty relentless on the forecheck, you can just better your game in that sense. So I wouldn't say I model my game after one certain guy, but I can just try and take bits and pieces from different players.
You mentioned Matt Sundin, all-time least point scorer. Then you mentioned Rick Nash. I guess when we watched you play at the 16 Mile Sports Complex, I think we could tell you had a little bit of bits and pieces. You had the Austin Matthews shot. You had the great forecheck, like you mentioned with Zach Hyman. And then you could just see just bits and pieces, like you mentioned, of different particular players and everything. I think you even had the Patty Kane hands, for all I know. When I watched, you had those Patty Kane mitts.
Depends on the day. I don't think I'm at that level yet, but I'm working towards it for sure.
So, anyways, Harrison, let's talk about the NOJHL, I should say. I keep saying the NOJHL or the whatever I'm saying, but the NOJHL. You would play for the Powassan Voodoogs there, and then you came over to Oakville in the Ontario Junior Hockey League. What was kind of the transition going from that team to Oakville?
I would say so. Like when I was playing Powassan, it was it was my first year junior, so it was a learning experience, just kind of breaking into hockey with the older guys, and obviously your first year junior, you kind of just want to get your feet wet and learn from some of the older guys and really just kind of take in everything. And I thought playing up there it was really good experience to go live away from home for a year. I made some really good relationships up there with all the guys and my billet family I'm still really close with. But when I came down to Oakville, I hopped onto a team that we were obviously really skilled. Like that was the year we went all the way to the Nationals, so we had a really strong team. I think going from up there and then coming down to playing with Tino, like Mike Tarantino, and kind of adapting to his system was a little more defensive oriented. He would harp on me a bit for making sure I stopped on pucks and just little things that maybe I didn't do as much up north. When he can't come down south, I was happy to be back home for a bit, living with my family, and I made great relationships on both teams, and I was happy I made the jump for sure.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about Mike Tarantino. You didn't just play for him; you also played for Jamie Storr. So you were kind of adapting from one coach to another, if I'm not mistaken, like going from Mike Tarantino, a former OJHL star himself, to a former Buckland Cup, Dudley Hewitt Cup winner with both the Oakville Blades, Buckland Cup with the Toronto Patriots, to a guy who played in the National Hockey League, a starting goalie for LA, Philadelphia, and I believe it was Carolina, the third team in Jamie Storr. So kind of like you had a mix. So how was that kind of like going from a coach to a coach in a way?
Like they're definitely different types of coaches. I mean, Tino, again, we had a team where we had so many good players that he had kind of a different, I would say, style in terms of, he balanced the lineup from basically the first to the fourth line. Like any line that was going that night would play more than the other. Like it didn't really matter who you were. He obviously had been coaching with Oakville for a long time, so he was very defensive oriented. He made everybody work extremely hard, and he held everyone accountable, which was great. He taught me some really good tips and really good pieces that I still use a ton today. And then in terms of Storrs, he came in. It's always tough taking over a new team, right? Because you never know where you're going to get, especially a team that just won the league and the provincials and got to nationals. But he hopped in, and again, he was great for me. He kind of told me, before the start of the year, I'm going to help you get better and make sure that when I jumped into college the following year, I was ready. And he did just that. He was really good with on-ice development. We worked on skills every week, and he paired me with Ricks and O'Hara and kind of let us do what we wanted creatively wise on the ice. They're both really good coaches, and I can't complain with playing with both those guys.
So I guess really a goalie could teach a player how to play too. Is that the case there?
Yeah, you'd be surprised. He can wheel around pretty good for a guy who's in net. He's got pretty decent hands too and decent shots. So it was kind of shocked when I saw it for the first time. But I guess when you play in the NHL, you're on the ice so much, you probably just pick up some tips from the guys you're playing playing against, right? So
yeah. So anyways, before we get into the transition, let's do a little bit of let's talk a little bit about the OJHL at 16 Mile Sports Complex, the home arena, your former home arena, I should say too, of the Oakville Blades there. What was the atmosphere? Must have been crazy there, because you guys could fill that stadium, packed on Family Day during that Buckland Cup run. It was packed and everything. The atmosphere must have been insane for you as a player.
yeah, no, it was really cool. Like that arena, I would say in the league is probably the best, or in the top 3 for sure. And you know, Friday nights there are always fun because you get the one side there where the bar is, you're allowed to drink. It's usually packed. But yeah, those Family Day games, and then when we made that run, you know, we started to get above like 1,200 fans every night, and the place looked packed and it was loud too. You know, we have a really good relationship with the minor hockey program there, the Oakville Rangers. So a lot of those teams would come out and they'd come down to the room after, and we'd sign some autographs and get to chat with them. So the atmosphere in Oakville is definitely one of the better ones in the league for sure. And you know, they always do some cool like pregame ceremonies and stuff. And yeah, I think, you know, if anyone were to come down to the OJHL and watch games, I think most people would say Oakville is definitely one of the premier spots to go and watch. And yeah, those playoff atmospheres too. Like I remember we won game 3 in Oakville, and I know we had to win that to go to Wellington the next game. But the place was sold out. We ended up winning, and then we were kind of saying like, oh, we can go and sweep Wellington in Wellington and win there, but it wouldn't be bad if we lost that game, came back and won at home too. But I think it would have been pretty cool to win in front of the home crowd. But and I feel the place would have been packed. So yeah, disappointed that we didn't do that, but I mean, we're happy with winning the championship either way, right? We just had all this momentum coming out from the season and the last 3 playoff rounds, and we just really took it to them. I think our first game we ended up winning like 6-1. I think that's when we just said, you know, let's just handle these guys and move on. But Wellington was a really good team that year too. Like the next 3 games were all super tight, like 1-goal games. So they were a solid team, and we just, you know, luckily we came out with the wins.
But nonetheless, let's keep talking about it. What are some of your favorite games there? You mentioned the Buckland Cup. You mentioned the Dudley Hewitt Cup. Family Day must rank up there because you guys always sell those out. Don't get me wrong. That arena always sells out on Family Day. Free admission and everything. They go to the bar, have a drink, maybe have some food at Puck's Pub there. Family Day must be a great site for you guys because you guys almost, like I said, you sell out that arena almost.
Yeah, Family Day was sweet because it's free admission and they advertise it to the whole town. So you get a ton of you know, families that are just got nothing to do. The game's at like 2:00 in the afternoon, so you got all these kids who are not in school. They all come out, and I remember the guys on my team were saying the year before I got there, they were playing Trenton on Family Day, and the Trenton team brought a fan bus over too, so that made the atmosphere even crazier. But the 2 years I was there, we played Burlington both times, which is of course crosstown rivalry. Like, so they come over to into Oakville, and their fans will come, and it's an awesome atmosphere. I mean, you get some screaming kids, and you get all your family comes. Like, I know I'd always have a big fan base there. My friends' family, they'd all come out and watch. And last year went to overtime too, so that was an exciting one. We it was a nail biter, and I remember Grayson Arnott scored, and yeah, crowd was going crazy. So yeah, can't complain with Family Day games. Those are always fun.
Yeah, and let's not forget too, you guys also had a rematch. Going back to the Buckland Cup topic, you guys also had a rematch with Wellington before. I believe it was either on Family Day or before the day before Family Day. You guys had a rematch with Wellington in Oakville, and I don't think it went well. I remember hearing you guys come off the ice just not in the best mood. I know you guys wanted to win still, but
yeah, we lost in overtime. I remember because there was a controversial call at the end of the game. I went in the box to start overtime, and they ended up scoring on that power play. So it was. Yeah, I wasn't too happy with myself, and we ended up losing. But it was a bummer we didn't get to play them in the playoffs. It would have been nice to get some redemption, but that's how she goes.
Yeah, but nonetheless, let's move on now to the transition to Alaska, where you played NCAA D1 hockey for the University of Alaska Fairbanks. So we asked you about the transition going from the OJHL to the OJHL. What was it like going from, I should say, maybe country to country because you went from Canada to the United States. So what was that like?
Spend time with the same guys every day, so you become really tight knit with everybody. And obviously being at school too is really nice. After a couple of years off, you get to basically start using your brain again and getting in the classroom and being able to go on the ice every day and work out every day. It was an awesome year. Obviously, unfortunately, we didn't get to play like you mentioned before, but we're looking forward to next season. And it's been kind of felt like a year-long training camp almost. So we're dialed in. We're definitely excited for next year.
And I can't wait to maybe watch some games, hear some games, or watch some highlights on the Oakville Blades Instagram. I know you guys usually post some NCAA D1 goals and that stuff. I know Ricks was on there. O'Hara was on there playing USHL. Jack Lyons was even on there. Hopefully we could see Harrison Israel's first career NCAA D1 goal coming very soon next season. But you just mentioned too, you made some great friends, great relationships with your teammates, and the coaching staff. But there's probably already one relationship you already had up there, and I think you know who I'm talking about with a certain guy by the name of Mr. Garrett Pike.
No, Piker's he's been my good buddy for a long time. We played together before Oakville. My first year at AAA in midget, he was actually my captain for the Mississauga Senators. So I've known him for a long time. We've played on. This is our third different team together. So we're really good buddies.
Yeah, we should probably get maybe a history-making moment. First two players to ever play for three different teams on the same team for three different teams. But
exactly. Yeah.
But Harrison, we mentioned earlier there were no games on there, right? Anything for NCAA for Alaska. How did you guys stay rested, stay fit, getting prepared, hoping for a season to come back and everything? I know now it was there's no games, season's canceled. But how'd you guys stay fit and everything? Were there practices at least and everything, like that kind of stuff? Like gyms were open, I assume, and that stuff?
Yeah. So we were practicing like we were going to play up until the end of December because our season didn't get canceled until almost like just before Christmas. So, the first like 3-4 months we were like practicing systems. We were doing like just what you would in a regular season, like the regular team practices. The gym was open, so we were in there like 4 times a week. We were lifting. So everybody was in peak shape by the time around Christmas. But our season ended up getting canceled, so a lot of the guys went home for Christmas break. And then when we got back, the program changed a little bit because obviously we weren't gonna like work on a power play or anything because we weren't gonna play any games. So it turned into basically just skill-based stuff. We were doing a lot of individual, like we would take kind of a theme for the week. So whether it be like shooting or power skating or angling, like just different individual skills, and we would do that for the whole week, implementing different kind of games and stuff just to keep it interesting. And then on Saturdays we actually did a 3-on-3 league within the team. So we drafted we had 4 captains who drafted 4 teams, and then we kept track of stats, and we did a playoff and a championship. So that's at least kept us competitive and definitely added some fun into second semester.
So Harrison, I actually forgot. I had 2 more questions for you with regards to the OJHL. We're going to talk about the year you won the OJHL MVP and the OHA Player of the Year, and also you were named to the first team along with one of your competitors, I should say, one of your opponents, and it was a guy you tied with in 86 points that season in Kyle Bowlers from the Brantford 99ers. I could say it was a tight race, man. He had 1 game up on you and everything. He had 29 goals, 57 assists, 86 points. For him, it was 39 goals, 47 assists, and 86 points. So the goals were differentiated by 10 points, while the assists were also differentiated by 10 points. So I could say it was a tight race to see who could break maybe an NHL record by getting maybe first 100 points in before the playoffs came around.
Yeah, no, we had a good battle. I knew Kyle. His dad used to coach me when I was younger, so I've known him for a little bit. And then at the All-Star game this year, we were on a line together with Ricketts. So we were talking throughout the race too, and it was good. Like, he's obviously a really good player, and he has a ton of skill to him. Like, his offensive talent is next to none. Like, he came down from the OHL and kind of just dominated right away. So he's super talented. And we ended up just coming right down to the last couple of games, and we both ended up tallying some points and ended up tying. So yeah, it was, I guess one point could have made a difference, but yeah, I mean, I'm happy for him. He had a good year, and he's going to Ryerson too. So I'm sure he's gonna have a pretty good career there. That's for sure.
But nonetheless, that year you also won the OJHL MVP and the OHA Player of the Year. So what was your initial reaction when you found out you won? And also, where were you when you found out you won?
I was actually at my mom's. We were it was during lockdown, so we were just hanging at home, and my GM at the time, Jordan Selinger, shot me a text and was just like, hey, like, just wanted to let you know that they told me that you just won the MVP. And I was like, oh, it's pretty crazy. I honestly didn't, I wasn't expecting to win it. I didn't kind of think anything of it. I'm obviously very honored that they chose me. And yeah, I was kind of shocked a little bit, but it's nice to have, I guess, just in the back pocket for, maybe show my kids or something someday that I ended up winning it. But I think, the biggest thing was I was just honored to get it. And that kind of goes to show our team that year, like Oakville, like we're a really good team. I couldn't really done it without any of those guys. And like if Ricks and O'Hara didn't have as good of a season as they had, I probably wouldn't have had a great one myself. So I'm definitely honored and happy that they ended up giving it to me. And not much else to say about it.
Well, you, O'Hara, and Ricketts had the most points on the Oakville Blades, I believe. You guys just went off that year. That was I'd say that was the deadliest line or deadliest three players I've ever seen in the OJHL. Just hungry for points, hungry for goals, hungry for whatever they could get to help their race to get to the OJHL MVP and help their team get another Buckland Cup and everything. So, Harrison, my last thing for you is it's not a question. We're going to play a little bit of a game. We're going to play a little bit of kind of like first thing that comes to your head. It's like, I'm going to ask you a question. You're going to tell me the first person that comes to your mind. Could be teammates. Well, some of it's going to be teammates. Some of it's going to be favorite players, like we just talked about earlier. And we're going to go from there. All right?
Yeah.
All right. So let's get to it. So I'll start you off an easy one, Harrison, is who was the best probably leader in the Oakville Blades dressing room? Besides Jack Ricketts, we can't say the captain.
So either year, or did it matter? Like both?
It could be any year you played. I know Ricketts was the captain. Even you could say pre-Captain Ricketts. You could even be him. But yeah, any year that you played with the Blades in the OJHL, who did you find was the best leader for the team?
I would say a guy that would come in with full energy and just never quit, never stop. He'd be vocal in the room. Was always serious, always put the team first, was Callum Jones. He's a defenseman the year before. Last year he's at Norwich University now. This guy was just a machine. Like every practice he's out working every guy on the ice. He's, letting guys know if he thinks they're slacking off and stuff. And he was an assistant captain because Reaver, who's another great leader, was a captain, was captain at the time. But I would say Jones, he's just the kid, he's relentless. Like his work ethic's off the charts, and you can see it in everything he does. And he's a really good hockey player and a good, even better lacrosse player. I would say that's probably the first guy that comes to mind.
Okay, now let's move on to the next one. Who had the best vocals in the locker room?
Vocals? That one. I don't know. Hard to say because I don't think anyone on our team could sing, but Potty is probably up there because he was always singing that Star is Born movie. So I'd probably give it to Potty.
Was he singing "Shallow" by Everybody, if you know the movie Shallow, it's probably because of that one song that Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga did together. Was that song.
Exactly.
Okay, so the next one is who's a guy that you probably would ask to share maybe your Apple Music playlist with? I know you probably have Apple Music, so who would you ask to maybe get a playlist from that had a good playlist?
Oh, probably Piker, to be honest with you. He's got some good tunes. Like I think Garrett Pike I'd definitely. Although Peyton Reeves, I've been taking songs from his playlist because he was the guy on the aux in the room, and he's got some good tunes. And he's a DJ too. He likes to make music, so I'd probably go with Peyton Reeves for sure.
All right, now who was probably the clown of the dressing room? Now, I'm not saying like the biggest, kind of like, you know what I mean, the guy who made the best jokes and everything in the locker room.
Yeah, it was this is a tie between Lions and Patiano. Both guys are just hysterical, hilarious, making jokes all the time. Just honestly, just naturally funny guys.
All right, Harrison, and we're gonna ask you one more question with regards to the NHL and that stuff. All right, Harrison. So the last one is, who was your favorite NHL player that could lead a team besides the captain, Matt Sundin?
Oh, well, I think I'd have to go with Crosby. I mean, the guy's, ever since he scored that goal in Vancouver, he's been someone that I've just looked up to in terms of how he conducts himself off the ice and how he conducts himself on the ice. He's just a naturally born leader. Obviously, Pittsburgh's been a pretty successful team the last 10 years. So, yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with saying Sidney Crosby.
All right, Harrison, that's going to wrap it up for today's interview with you. I just want to say again, thank you so much for joining me to sit down and do this interview with me. I really do appreciate it. I could tell you were on the road and that stuff too, getting home and that stuff. But thank you again for your time, and hopefully we can chat again soon.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for the invite. And yeah, it was nice chatting with you. And if ever want to do it again, just let me know.
All right, guys. Harrison Israel's former Oakville Blade assistant captain, former OJHL MVP, and former OHA and Player of the Year. I'm Cameron Capobianco.